Hello. Hi, guys. It's a couple of minutes past 7 o'clock. Sorry, I'm just created the event a little later today, and then it wouldn't let me set it up for 7 or 7:01, and I had to keep changing it. But how are you guys doing? It's 7 o'clock on Tuesday evening, and we are ready for our lives Q&A sessions that we do every week and answer all your burning questions about healing from chronic illness and longevity, how to lead a long and healthy, pain-free life. And I love, love, love doing these lives. I really like it when you guys ask questions, and sometimes, I know a couple weeks we didn't have really any questions or things like that, but it is nice to have a lot of questions and kind of interact with you guys. And how's everyone doing? How are things going, and how's everyone doing and enjoying the summer? Things like that. Put in the chat box, tell me how you guys are doing, what's been going on, anything interesting, where you guys are listening from, anything like that would be great. And then we'll just get started right away with the questions. I'm going to see if I can minimize. Oh, I just maximized. I'm going to minimize my screen here so that I can look at the questions that were asked for this week. So I'm going to do that. And so then we can kind of figure out what was asked this week and answer a lot of those questions. Okay. So before we get started, I always like to make this disclaimer. I am not a physician. This is not meant to be medical advice. This is really just an educational forum to really help educate you and teach you about the principles of functional medicine and healing from chronic illness, my journey, my experiences, and what I had done to kind of heal myself and come out of this really, really long journey. So by no means is this medical advice. This is just for educational purposes and to really just help you lead a very healthy, long and pain-free life is really the purpose of this. If you haven't already, we've had quite a few new people join. So if you haven't already, go back to the top of the page. There's a bunch of pinned videos that you can go all the way. If you scroll to the right, you are going to get all the videos from the right, from the very beginning and all the way to now. So we have quite a few videos and live Q&A sessions where people have asked a lot of questions. So go back, check those out. And they will really help give you a foundation and a basis of where I started from and where we all started from. And also, just if you have any questions, post them in the chat or ask. I usually post a meme, like an image on Thursday or Friday, and so ask underneath there. And I get to all the questions every week. I try my best to get to all of them. And I think so far we've addressed everything. So just a little disclaimers and kind of housekeeping information, but let's get started. I'm drinking my protein shake today. I just had dinner about an hour ago and I was still so hungry. So, I don't eat now till tomorrow morning. I like to go at least 14 hours. I like to go 14 hours without eating. And so we eat dinner very early and I was really hungry today. And after dinner, even though I had a big dinner, and so then I just kind of made a protein shake for myself. I just mix my protein powder, 1 scoop with water, and that's how I drink it. I haven't had one today, so I try not to overdo it, but I just decided I was going to have some protein today after dinner. So that'll hopefully, keep me full till the end of the night and tomorrow morning and keep my blood sugar levels balanced. We've talked a lot about that. I've talked a lot about that and balancing your blood sugar levels. If you go back to the lives, there's a lot of stuff that I've talked about on balancing blood sugar levels. I really think that was a big key for me in my healing journey. I think just keeping my blood sugar levels balanced really, really helped with my cortisol levels, and then it helped with, my healing and things like that. If you go back and watch some of the previous lives, especially in the very beginning, I talked about how, I'm going to turn this off. I talked about how I did a water-only fast. It was medically supervised, and I did a water-only fast. And that was a game changer for me. I had been so sick for such a long time and could barely get out of bed, could barely take care of the kids. I was just really sick and nothing was working. And I'd worked with a functional medicine doctor for almost 2 years and a naturopath, and all these people were kind of friends of mine, kind of managing my care. Some were not even friends, some were like actual doctors that I was working with. And I ultimately just decided, enough is enough. In my culture, fasting is just really one of the things that is used for healing. And it's just used as more of a religious thing, but it's touted and has so many benefits. And so reached out to one of my friends. He's a DO down in West Palm Beach, and I did a medically supervised water only fast for 6 days. It was pretty difficult. Um, it was really tough, but I did it, and I felt so much better after that. And I started getting out of bed and all that stuff. So I thought that was very helpful for me. But in any case, since then, a lot of times if my blood sugar level has gone off balance and things like that, I feel really horrible. And so in the last like maybe year and a half or so, I've really been wearing a continuous glucose monitor. I don't have one on right now, but I haven't worn one for about 3, 4 months. But for about a year and a half, I wore a continuous glucose monitor just to check my sugar levels and my glucose levels and things like that. And it really helped with my healing journey. So go back and watch some of those videos. I think it's really beneficial if you have not how to balance your blood sugar levels, keep them balanced, and that way you really help with your healing. But anyways, got sidetracked there. So the first question we had, Heather asks, how can I lower my cortisol levels so that I can quit feeling cortisol rushes? So that's a great question, and it's a really open-ended question, because I think the first step would be to find out if you are hyper or hypo. Like, is your body producing too much cortisol and you're feeling this, or is your body like completely, your adrenals are so fatigued from having produced so much cortisol that at this point they are completely low, bismol, hypo, things like that. So that's a really first step in finding out about the cortisol level. I think the 4 point or 6 point, like the saliva cortisol test, is one of the number one things that you should probably do to see where you are. I've shown this before, but and I've talked about it in the previous lives, but I've shown the graph. There's a very specific graph it's called a cortisol awakening response graph, and how your body, like when you first wake up, your cortisol goes up, and then it peaks, and then it kind of, goes down and then levels out for the rest of the day. And so if you don't have that typical pattern, you are going to be pretty sick, kind of really wired or really out of it, and things like that. So it's very hard to tell what stage you're in unless you have gotten a true cortisol test done. And so that really will be the first step for you, Heather, is to find out, are you hyper? Are you hypo? What stage of adrenal fatigue are you in? Is your body producing too much cortisol, or is it not producing enough that it's supposed to? And so those are the kind of things that, you really need to find out. The other thing I would suggest too, of course, once you've worked with a practitioner and, gotten your levels and things like that, is to keep a diary. So I know that when I was really sick, after I used to eat, my heart rate would go up, my cortisol would go up. I mean, I would just feel, so anytime, especially if I ate more carbs, then I would feel like a rush in cortisol. So I really suggest for you to keep a diary and to find out every time that this happens, write it down and what you just did. Like if you just ate, or I would wake up in the middle of the night and like have so much palpitation or cortisol like spike, and it would wake me up. And so find out and write down kind of when is this happening, and what are you doing preceding to that, that came before that led to this. And so that'll kind of start giving you patterns, whether it's food related or stress related. If your kids just come home from school and then you have this cortisol rush, is it because the kids are just coming home from school or something like that? If you have a crying baby, like, so try to keep a diary and see where is this coming from and what is it doing. And then the other thing too, I am really sensitive to most and any supplements. I am actually very sensitive. So sometimes you'll ask people and ask patients that, oh, what are you taking? And they're like, nothing. I'm not taking anything. I don't take anything at all that has, XYZ or whatever. But then when you really do a deep dive into their supplements or even some of their multivitamins or, things like that, you'll see stuff in there. I think there was a period where I was waking up and I was having just a lot of palpitations and I couldn't figure it out. And then I was taking holy basil at night. One of my things to take at night was holy basil, and I looked it up, and sure enough, like it was raising my cortisol and it was giving me palpitations. Not that holy basil is not helpful, but for me, it was just having that kind of a reaction. So have you checked your supplements? Have you seen what you're taking? And have you like really look at everything that you're taking? And that's where keeping a diary, because if you take a certain supplement at 9 a.m. and then at 11 a.m. every day you're having this cortisol rush, then you need to kind of backtrack and see, what did I take 2 hours prior? Let me look at those ingredients, what's in there. Sometimes just some very benign things, but it could be like rhodiola, ginseng, that kind of stuff. Like I said, for me, anything I tried, I was super sensitive, so I would get a cortisol rush. So try to do that, find out what you could be taking. And then, addressing your stress levels. I mean, that is just, as people who are chronically ill, we are so tired of hearing this. And we hear this everywhere, and every time that's the answer, is addressing the stress levels. But it's really true. I mean, until you can get so much better about managing your stress levels, your reactions, your things like that, that then you finally get, a steady level of a reaction to a stress response. So I think for me, it's taken years to get there now. And now, I used to have where stressful situations used to really just break me down. And I really had a tough time dealing with stressful situations, and I was so sick for so long. And it's taken me years of just discipline and working hard and a clean diet and exercising and all of that to get to a point now that I can actually handle some of this stuff and some of this stress. Um, and so, keeping like a very straight line when you are in a stressful situation. And so for me, some of the things that really, really helped is, I mean, I've just been meditating for as long as I can remember, for years. And then I do a lot of breath work, and then exercise. I obviously, in the beginning when I was very sick, I couldn't exercise, but really walking, just walking small distances, or restorative yoga, just laying on the floor, sitting in a yoga pose for an extended period of time. That's restorative yoga. Those are the things I started with, but it's so key, because as I got better, I started walking more, and I found that that really helped with my stress level. And so I think all of those things are just very, very critical in really managing your stress. Do you have a healthy meditation practice that you're a part of? Do you have a breathing program that you're a part of that you can start incorporating every single day? And you're not going to see this in 3 months or 6 months, but a year from now, you'll really see benefits and you will heal. So really incorporating some way of addressing stress would be helpful in, the cortisol rushes. When you actually do have the rush, I know a lot of people swear by breathing exercises and really calming down at that point, doing some box breathing. Look up box breathing. That's supposed to really help when you have cortisol rushes and things like that. I know a lot of people do DNRS. I did DNRS, Dynamic Neural Retraining System, and I got trained in it and I did it. And that seemed to help me a lot at that time. So what is it that, is causing these issues and the stress for you, and how do you counteract and negate the stress that's causing this cortisol rush, is also an important thing to address. Blood sugar regulation, I touched on it a little bit. It is very, very critical for keeping your glucose level steady, which will then help keep your cortisol level steady. If you constantly are having this junk food and like kind of high carb diet, then you're going to really spike up your blood sugar, and then that's going to cause really increase in cortisol. Or if you really are not eating well balanced diet and your blood sugar constantly keeps plummeting, and every time it drops, your body has to produce cortisol. And for that reason, then that cortisol is what helps kind of balance your blood glucose level. So are you eating every so often, 2 to 3 hours, and eating very high protein and fats and things like that to keep your blood sugar levels steady so you don't have these cortisol rushes, because your body's like amazing. Your body's trying to help itself to get out of whenever your glucose, plummets. So again, keeping a diary, seeing that is it around 4 o'clock every day that you're getting these cortisol rushes, then absolutely you didn't eat you missed lunch or skipped lunch or whatever, or you didn't eat enough protein during lunch, then those things will all make a difference. And then addressing sleep. It is the number one thing that can help you with healing is sleep. I know that people who are chronically ill, this is one of the toughest things. Like, you don't sleep, it's a vicious cycle, and so you don't heal and you feel worse. And, it's taken me years now to be on such a steady sleep pattern. I might do maybe one of the times I'll do something on sleep, but just to kind of show you, because I wear like the Aura ring, and so it tracks my sleep every day. It's taken me so long to get here where I actually have 6-7 hours plus of sleep, steady sleep. But that is key. I've talked about this before, but your adrenals heal only from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That is the most critical time when your adrenals heal. And so if you're not sleeping by 10 p.m., you're really taking away the time for your adrenals to heal. If you can get some good, deep, restorative sleep, especially the first half of the night, then that's really helpful with healing the adrenals. And so you really need to address that. For a long time, I was just wake up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and just not be able to sleep. I'm not talking a couple years. When I initially got sick, that was like a huge problem for me. And of course, it took like balancing hormones and things like that I did. But then I still kept having like these cortisol rushes at night, and I would, I don't have sleep apnea, but then I would wake up feeling like I'm not breathing too much. And so then I started taking Phosphatol Serene, and that's been really helpful for me. I don't take it anymore. Thankfully, I'm at a point now where I really don't take a lot of the stuff that I used to, just a lot of basic vitamins and supplements and things. But the Phosphatol Serene was very, very key. It really helped me to really balance out that, nighttime wakings and things like that, helped me stay asleep. And, it was just very helpful because that cortisol rush would wake me up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then I couldn't sleep. And that's not the answer. Phosphatol Serene is not the answer. I used to have high protein, high fat. I used to eat some nuts around 8 o'clock before I went to bed, things like that to really keep my blood sugar levels steady. So it's not an answer just to pop a pill or anything. It's really more of a lifestyle. I did a lot of yoga and meditation and things like that. But if you're doing a lot of those things, and Phosphatol Serene is very, very helpful at night to keep the, cortisol levels steady. And I know I've talked about this before in my very, very early stages. In fact, even till now, I will tell you that I have been doing like every morning till this day, I squeeze lemon, a pinch of, a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, and potassium. I put in cream of tartar. So I do that every single morning to help my adrenals, because I'm at a point now where I'm really exercising a little bit more, and I'm walking the dogs more, and I've been doing Pilates. I can't do too much strenuous stuff, gym and lifting crazy heavy weights and stuff. But I know I'm pushing and challenging my body, and I'm pushing it to the limits that it hasn't gone to in a lot of years. So I still do the adrenal cocktail every morning. So I squeeze fresh lemon, organic lemon, half a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, and then just a pinch of cream of tartar. So I get my minerals that way, potassium, sodium, and the lemon is, really good detoxing agent, but also vitamin C. And so I do all of that every morning. I've been doing that since I was really sick and bedridden to now when I am, a lot better. So those are some of the things I can think of. I mean, I'm sure there's so many more, but these are some of my examples. Obviously, I went through every single one of these things that you guys ask about. And so for me, that was always very, very helpful to really start evening and balancing out my cortisol levels, because that's really key to healing, right? Cortisol causes a lot of inflammation and oxidative damage and, things like that. So you really want to make sure that you're not really pumping up too much cortisol. So I hope, Heather, that answers your question. Like I said, there's could be a variety. Sometimes it's not just one piece. There's so many pieces to this puzzle. So there's quite a few things that could be going on, but I hope these things will at least help you kind of start where you may be able to kind of start and go moving forward. And along the same lines, DJRB had asked about being on steroids most of um, his or her life and now has no cortisol. And can I talk about that? Unfortunately, that just sounds really tough. And again, I'm not a physician, so I really can't talk about being on steroids on your whole life and most of your life and the effects it has and things like that. But I am sure that at that point it has really affected your adrenals, kidneys, all of that. So I would say the same thing for you, DJRB, that you need to work with a functional medicine practitioner who can do a 4 or 6 point cortisol test. It's a saliva test because you have to see where you are to start out. If you're really flatlined, which I was flatline, I actually should find those cortisol awakening responses of mine from back then. I mean, I remember there was a one time I was entirely on the x-axis and I was just like, how am I even alive at this point with my the thing completely on the x-axis. I had no curve at all. It was just devastating to see. So I've been there, and it took me that whole year to start healing my adrenals. It was very tough for me because I was not able to tolerate a lot of supplements, even the ones that are used to heal the adrenals. I would have like paradoxical reactions and kind of not tolerate them well. And so I had a really tough time with that, and so I had to do it more naturally, with lemon and salt and like adrenal cocktails and things like that, and then a lot of essential oils. I used a lot of essential oils. I will try to put the link of the essential oils that I used. I just couldn't handle a lot of the supplements. Let's see if I can find the essential oils. They have some really good ones. And actually, just even talking about Heather, sorry, I'm just getting this link. Heather had talked about these cortisol rushes. I actually forgot about that I had used these essential oils a lot for that when I would get these cortisol rushes. And then also for when I, was flatlined, they have two of them. The one that I used for when I had these cortisol rushes it's called Vibrant Blue Oils. I don't know if that I just put that link there. I hope that's the correct one. Yes, Vibrant Blue Oils is the company that I use, and if you use that link, you can get a discount and things like that, I think. But um, in any case, I used their parasympathetic, which was a really good oil for cortisol rushes. You just apply it on the vagus nerve behind the ear, and that used to help me a lot. And then same thing when DJRB asked about, having like just no cortisol. They've got a few things that they like oils they have, and the one that I used to use, I think parasympathetic, and then I used to use adrenal a lot. It's called adrenal, and that one I used a lot for healing, so that one helped me a lot as well. So those are some of the things I did. But DJRB, I'm sorry that of course I can't talk about steroids and kind of all the things that it would do to your body. But if you have no cortisol, I think the first step would be to get a 4 or 6 point cortisol test. Find out where your curve is. Are you really flatlined? Are you really fatigued? What stage of adrenal fatigue? Which supplements would then work for you to help heal the adrenals? I know that a lot of like maybe chaga, the mushroom powder is really good for healing adrenals, but again, you have to work with a practitioner. These are some of the things that I had used and tried and seen. And again, you can really do damage, so you have to work with someone who's really kind of knowledgeable in this field. Sue asked about parasite cleanses. Apparently, it is very important to do a parasite cleanse in a proper manner and a specific order. My understanding is that the first and most important step before starting parasitic elimination is to open elimination pathways in their proper order before doing the actual parasite cleanse. I think the order of these elimination pathways are the skin, the kidneys, then the liver. Any guidance and information on opening elimination pathways are greatly appreciated. Okay, thanks, Sue, for that question. So, as far as cleanses, I mean, they have to be done under the watch of someone very knowledgeable and someone who's kind of following you, who knows this, who knows your blood work, who knows, you don't want to do any damage to your organs and you don't want to, really like go into like a mineral deficit and get dehydrated and all that stuff. So I will tell you what I used, and I did, a full cleanse with them. I've mentioned to you guys before the company that I use and I use till this day for all their products and everything like that. It's called Global Healing. And so I put that link there. They have what is called a complete cleanse kit. And that is in my opinion, I thought a very clean, very, very, gentle cleanse that you can do. So, and I've talked about this company before, and they actually have a customer service where they are, trained professionals, I think, that are walking you through this process of the cleanse. So, my friend who's really, really sick, and I think she had Lyme disease, she's a massage therapist. She's really, really advanced in functional medicine. She's a brilliant, brilliant person. She was a massage therapist, and I had gone to her for something. And so then we started talking about this company, and she said she was going to do the cleanses. And so she got on the phone with them, and customer service called her, and or she called customer service, and they kind of guided her and walked her through this. So, Sue, you're right about one thing. You have to open the channels first. That is completely key and important, because otherwise you will have this toxins that you've eliminated kind of still floating around in your body. Very, very critical. And so you open your elimination pathways by sweating, so sauna, infrared sauna. You have to open your bowel movements, eliminating that. Coffee enemas would help with that. Dry brushing to really help the lymph fluid and get all that, toxin out. You can do rebounder and jumping, and things like that. So you really, really need to open all your elimination channels first. I think it was like maybe the third talk that I did. So if you go back all the way back in April, the third live Q&A, third or fourth, but I think it was the third one, where I talk a lot about elimination pathways and how to open, there's stage 1 detox, stage 2, so how to open your elimination pathways. I talked a lot about that in some of those cleanses, in some of those discussions. But I will tell you the reason I mentioned this cleanse kit. They have a complete cleanse kit at Global Healing, and so they actually, after you open all these elimination pathways and make sure that they're all, you're eliminating well. The next one they do is a colon cleanse. And so, your order, I think, Sue, that says skin, then kidneys, then liver, their order is actually different. It's, obviously eliminating everything through the skin, which they are hoping you're already doing. But then the next one is a colon cleanse. And they really want to make sure that you are not backed up, that you are not constipated. They don't want all that stuff in your body. And so the next one they do is a colon cleanse. My friend, who's a massage therapist, did it. She started from there, and they walked her through it each one of the way. And I remember it being brutal on her because it's a tough one. I think she was on fruit for 5 days. And then, just worked her way through. And then they have, it's all a pattern. You have to open you can even look at it right now. Like if you click on the link, the Global Healing link there, if you click on that, then they have a PDF document that you can open. It's their complete cleanse system, and it'll tell you exactly which ones to do in what order, and they kind of walk you through it even before you buy it. So it's all in there, take a look, but I really like their cleanse program. And then I think it's like kidney and then liver. I've done like maybe 9 of the liver ones. Those are really, really good. The kidney ones. I've done the parasitic cleanse. They have a parasite one, mycotoxin one. I mean, it's just a whole cleanse system. It's actually pretty wonderful. It's kind of expensive, but it's really good. It kind of encompasses all. So I think the order that they do it in is the colon cleanse, then the liver cleanse, then they do a harmful organism cleanse, and then last they do chemical and heavy metal cleanse. That's the order that they do them in. So they really kind of get everything all in one, and then you can just you can do them in that order, and they walk you through it. It's just takes quite a while actually to do that whole cleanse system. So I hope that answers your question. Definitely you're correct about having all your detox pathways completely open and eliminating, because otherwise you don't want that toxic stuff kind of just floating around in your body. That would actually be very harmful, in fact. So there was a question about, is bergamot good for reducing cholesterol as is being reported? Is it fairly safe? So again, I'd like to make that disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not a physician. I'm not a naturopath. I don't talk about, I don't prescribe herbals and stuff like that. But I have read this stuff about bergamot and, about its ability to reduce cholesterol. So for me, obviously I like to be very science-based and like to pull up articles and things like that. So I'm going to put a link to this article. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to put a link to this article that I found on the NIH website, and it's actually, I think the NIH.gov are very, reputable, and I always like to be sure that there's some studies and things like that that are done on this before I just, blindly follow, okay, some holistic website just saying that, oh yeah, bergamot works for cholesterol. So I wanted to kind of just do a little bit of this research. Sorry, I'm copying and pasting this. I wanted to do a little bit of research on this before I just put it out there for you guys. So this is the article link that I'm going to refer to. It's a great NIH article with studies that were done. And so basically, in this article, I'll just kind of summarize it for you real quick. Bergamot is a citrus fruit. It's native to southern Italy, and it's been used a lot traditionally to improve the immune response and cardiovascular functioning and, things like that. It has a lot of phytochemicals in it. And so basically, high cholesterol, when you have high cholesterol, it causes oxidative damage, which then causes an inflammatory response and arteriosclerosis. So then it starts forming plaques. The cholesterol, because it causes oxidative damage, your arteries try to heal themselves. It's an inflammatory response, and they deposit these plaques. And so that's what arteriosclerosis is. So high cholesterol causes, plaques buildup. It causes coronary artery disease, and all of that stuff. So this study that I just linked there, it shows that bergamot possesses a variety of phytochemicals to curb inflammation, which is great. That's basic. So they had 60 subjects in the study, 20 were placebo, and then 20 had a certain fraction of this bergamot and a certain kind of it, and then the other 20 had another certain kind of it. And go ahead and look at the article, and it describes everything in detail. And so then they had all these subjects. The 20 placebo just got placebo, and then the other two, 20 and 20, got this bergamot extract. And in the end, they found that the studies show a significant decrease in total cholesterol. So it's all the numbers are written in that article. You can go take a look. But I want to say like most of the subjects had at least 30-point decrease in their total cholesterol, maybe more actually, maybe 50 to 60 in some, maybe 70 in some. And then LDL, it decreased their LDL quite a bit, and triglycerides. But then it increased the HDL, which is the good cholesterol that you want higher up. It actually helped increase that. And so probably the phytochemical benefits and the anti-inflammatory benefits really helped with these patients. And then of course the 20 placebo did not have any changes in their total cholesterol, triglycerides, and their LDL or HDL. And then at the bottom of this article, they do cite some other studies that have been done. And they do cite other double-blind studies and placebo studies and things like that, also showing the benefit of bergamot. So I would tell people this, and I don't recommend blindly just going and starting these supplements just because you heard about it or read about it. Of course, there's these articles on it, scientific studies and data and things on it. You really shouldn't just go out and just start these supplements and herbs because you have to look out for side effects, right? Obviously, they don't tell you in these studies what the other participants were on, if there were any other medications, if there was any side effects. You really don't have a way of knowing that. And also for how long can you take them? The studies are obviously for a short period of time, 3 months or whatever, 6 months, but then, you as a person are taking them for a year. Is there any issues with taking them for a year or 6 months or whatever? So you really need to talk to your doctor, your practitioner, your cardiologist, your functional medicine doctor, whoever you're working with, to really guide you in these things. Yes, all these things have great studies and they're really helpful, but you just need to talk to someone that will help you guide you the correct way and what dosing and things like that. But you're right, it does have a lot of promising effects, the bergamot, and so I guess they need to do more studies on it. But pretty helpful to know that. So that's all the questions that we had for today. Next week, we'll be back here, same place, same time. Please ask your questions on the group forum or under the link when I put the image, and I will try my best to answer all of them. And hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I will chat with you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.